Alright, starting off with an idea inspired by this guy. We're going to expand on it. We're going over multiple Overwatch characters and having them fight their Warhammer equivalents. Now, not all of them are going to be close fights, but we just wanted to see how they'd match up against each other.
We picked multiple because these are the closest fits to each other that we could find in abilities and general roles on the battlefield. Starting off, we have two of the heavy sluggers. We have Mauga and your normal everyday Ogren.
Starting off with Maga, we have a large Samoan man with 2 hearts and 2 giant miniguns. The second heart being a cybernetic one to supplement his first failing heart. He portrays himself as a big dumb brute, however this is a facade to have his enemy lower their guard. With an optimistic attitude, he likes to get up and close in combat. Other heroes like Baptiste says he fights like a demon, swapping between nice and dumb, falling between his dark side and going into a rage. Despite his prodigious size, fighting prowess, and seemingly near bulletproof fame, he needs Baptiste to be his handler for him to be talked down when he falls into a rage.
Try not to do something too stupid.
You know me, Baptiste. Just the right amount of stupid.
He becomes a vulnerable target when laying down massive amounts of firepower. In terms of battle experience, Maga has been fighting since he was a child, battling law enforcement as he joined a group called the Deep Sea Raiders, taking him on adventures and giving him a healthy dose of disrespect for the law, eventually becoming a local legend of Samoa. After his childhood, the Deep Sea Raiding group died down in activity. Hearing about the death of one of the second Doomfists, he went out for a worthy opponent. He engaged in a no-rules, anything-goes fight with the new Doomfist, both fighters ending in a draw.
You ever worry the fist is making you rusty?
How about a match after this to address your concerns?
And when Maga joined the Talon Company, he proceeded to go on many missions and continue his work for Talon to this day, having about 20 years of battle experience.
Moving on, we have an actual big dumb brute, an Ogren, an abhuman that forms from high-gravity planets, a subspecies from humanity often deployed as shock troops. They bear many feats, such as great strength, unwavering loyalty, and an IQ well below 60. To compensate for their mental deficiency, they stand at a height of 3 meters. They also boast extreme durability, able to shrug off most things that would kill a human, and being able to survive off very little food. Also, due to their size, they need specialized equipment, being too big to wield normal armaments for humans. There's truly not much to say about them though. They don't have any special modifications for their base Ogren other than sized up weapons. And when straight into battle, often unable to tell friend from foe.
Onto the equipment, we're looking at Maga. We have 2 chain guns, one shooting incendiary rounds and the other doing critical damage to enemies that are currently on fire. One's nicknamed Gunny and the other's Cha-Cha. While he is able to wield both guns at the same time, they come with major movement and accuracy penalties while firing. He also possesses the ability to periodically heal and reduce damage taken with his second heart, and an ability that deploys a barrier, trapping him and his opponent inside while refueling his guns.
Onto Ogren. We are specifically using the Ogren from Darktide as it provides a decent description of the beast that is the Ogren. They can use a decently large amount of ranged weapons and melee weapons. For this matchup, we will be having the Ogren wield a bully club, a massive chunk of concrete and metal mixed together to make a 100-pound plus club. As for weapons, he will be using a Gorgondom Mark IV twin-linked heavy stubber. Also, depending on the skills that he has, which we will be using, his range attacks can apply burning stacks during his ultimate. There's not too much more to say about him equipment-wise, besides the fact that they're either wearing no armor at all, or wielding metal across their body. Also that they can wield absolute massive hand grenades that can act like mini nukes from Fallout.
So we're going to break this match into multiple different parts. First is firepower, leaving Maga pretty decently in the lead. The Gorgon does more damage on average, shooting massive rounds, but Maga's guns make up for their lower damage with much higher fire rate, especially in the fire damage and critical damage categories. When looking at melee damage, the Ogren obviously has the advantage, with Maga only using his fists and the Ogren using his massive club. The second to last part is the most important. its durability. Now, it's hard to near impossible to directly compare gameplay to gameplay in statistics, since damage is handled differently in both games. Overall though, looking at the lore in-game, and your average Ogryn would have a medium to large head above Maga, feeling little to no pain and taking very little damage from anything that isn't shooting high caliber rounds. The Ogryn should be able to take whatever Maga dishes out with decent difficulty.
The last part before we get to their ultimates is comparing Malga, who uses a charge limit of anything in his path outside of an eraser barrier, versus your average Ogryn, which has demonstrated a ludicrous amount of strength, being able to move, rip apart, or throw most medium-sized armored vehicles, including tanks, putting the Ogryn again firmly ahead. Lastly, we have the ultimates. On one side, we have Malga, who can throw down a cage and gain infinite ammo while both of you are trapped. This barrier has 1500 health and lasts for 8 seconds, while the Ogryn has his ability, Point Blank Barrage, which boosts his fire rate, reload speed, and close range damage. Since neither of them have any real ability to dodge, if the fight makes it that far, it will turn to a slugging match. A fight, more often than not, the Ogryn will win. The first way the Ogryn can easily win is just deciding to enter melee combo with Malga. Given the strength advantage in actually having a weapon, and having similar speed outside the charge, and since Malga can't do anything reliably to make distance, it's a quickly losing match. In a gunfight, it's a bit closer, as they have similar damage output and Malga has the ability to heal. When comparing the two, it mostly comes down to one aspect of who will push over who in a gunfight. That if the Ogryn is wearing armor or not. If the Ogryn is wearing any type of armor, then it becomes an easy win for him. Malga should do little to nothing to an Ogryn, given their difference in strength. An Ogryn just might pick him up and throw him, or Malga will hit the Ogryn and bounce back. So overall, Ogryn wins like 7 to 8 times out of 10. Next up, Mercy and Saint.
Alright, after going over the brawl of the two big brutes, we have the two angelic figures in the universe. We have Saint Celestine and Mercy. The problem is, one has actual divinity and divine powers, while the other one is a false idol, using technology to boost her fragile frame. This is one of those fights that is another complete stomp. In all honesty, you can give Mercy multiple different team members and she'd still lose this fight. Looking at equipment, we go to Mercy first. She has a one-of-a-kind armor called the Valkyrie suit that is medium armor at best. Technically a power suit with a jetpack. Sadly, this armor provides little to no protection in the facial region. As power armor, it does increase her strength, but not by very much. Continuing on to mediocrity, we have the jump pack. It can help with some cases, but it doesn't last very long. Onto her weapons and abilities, she has a staff that won't help her in the slightest, and a pistol that does a tiny bit of damage. It can be dangerous like any gun if you get multiple headshots, but that's about it. Its only true benefit is that it has unlimited ammo. Being a support class, Mercy can heal at an advanced rate passively, and that's about all that matters. She has an ultimate ability that allows her to fly infinitely and gives her an infinite mag, but on to Saint Celestine now.
One of the Emperor's chosen angels of death. After horribly dying, she was granted a large amount of physical and psychic power. Equipped in heavy-duty power armor and equipped with the Iron Halo, she was able to weather most blows, even from such as those as a greater demon. As for abilities she normally has, there's many that we can list off, but the only one that really matters here is the fact that she has giant wings that give her the ability to fly extremely fast. In terms of weapons, she only wields frag grenades and a giant sword, the sword being psychically powered, glowing extremely bright, being able to shoot flames in directions. There's a lot of backstory we can go over, but I think it's best if we just went over the fight. The result of the fight is very simple. Saint Celestine wins 10 times out of 10. If Saint Celestine can take attacks from greater demons that can easily toss around tanks, a pea-shooter energy pistol can't do anything to damage the Saint at all. On the other side, just with the Saint Celestine sword by itself, it's special being under the classification of power sword, meaning with enough force it can cut through any material, leaving this fight as a complete wash with one being faster, bigger, tougher, and meaner. And you know who.
We will end off this video with a battle of the mechs. We have a hamster and a South Korean girl versus a genetically modified superhuman inside of power armor, inside of a mech. Starting off with the Overwatch characters, we have D.Va, also known as Hannah Song, a woman who jumped into a mech suit in order to save her people from the Omnic menace. So the mech suit itself is of good quality, able to tank nearly any and all weaponry of the Omnics and Overwatch members that they can dish out, though the main gun leaves something to be desired. She has a nice combo of weapons that round out her kit, her other abilities being a defense matrix that blocks attacks for about 3 seconds, boosters that allow her to fly in any direction with very limited range, and she has somewhat damaging micro missiles, and has an ultimate ability that she can use to self-destruct her mech, instantly killing most creatures in the area. Lastly though, we only mention at the end because it ties in, she blows up the mech after a small ult charge, and she gets a new mech, and if it drops onto the battlefield and hits someone, it does massive damage.
Onto her teammate, we have Wrecking Ball, a sentient hamster with a giant mechanized ball. Despite the name, the thing cannot weigh more than like 200 pounds or so, because even at max momentum, it only does a small amount of damage. Its main weapons are quad cannons that are low to medium range and do medium damage. It also has a grappling hook, allowing it to ram into people and maneuver around the battlefield, and it can use the grappling hook to increase its speed by rolling. The other abilities it has is a pile drive, slamming into the ground, doing low to high damage depending on the height. He also has an adaptive shield that can spread out damage taken by him to other people. And lastly, for his ultimate, he can throw out 15 proximity mines around him in a 3-ring form, doing a large amount of damage if hit. Onto their opponent, we have the Invictus Dreadnought, the lightly armored scout unit of dreadnoughts, putting a Phobos armored space marine in a large mech towering at 14 feet tall. It can lay down heavy firepower while moving faster than its bulky form would usually allow, wielding twin-linked Iron Hail autocannons as a primary and a heavy bolter as a sidearm. It holds enough firepower to rip through most medium and some heavy armored targets, whether it be tanks or other types of mechs.
There's truly not much to say here, even with a 2v1, given the fact that D.Va shoots out low damage energy blasts, and that Ceramite is built to withstand energy and heat, and that being that almost all of the mech's armor and the Marines' armor is made out of the stuff to resist the energy, and the fact that the hamster ball seems to prefer rolling and swinging around rather than shooting, there's not really much they can do. Maybe if they lived long enough to charge up the ult and use D.Va's self-destruct, they could do significant damage, and if somehow the ball was able to smash the mech into the landmines, they might do something. But unless the stars align, there's not much they can do, since the Space Marine is just a better version of D.Va. The Dreadnought does massive damage, is extremely tanky, and even if you destroy the Dreadnought, you're now fighting a 7-foot superhuman in power armor that's most likely equipped with a bolter that shoots a higher caliber round than almost any other character in Overwatch, putting this victory somewhere in an 8 out of 10 for the Space Marine.
And that's it for our extremely biased opinions. If you enjoyed the video and our hypothetical situations, give us a like and subscribe, and if the video does well enough, we'll make a second video where the Overwatch characters get some wins.